All right, so I'm gonna continue my story. So basically, after what was going on was my grandpa. Yeah, so I understand he wanted me to get a job and everything, but I discovered the theory of everything at that time, and so but my grandpa's whole thing was like his thing was everything is energy and life is an anti-entropic or ordering function. So you need to be participating in creative synergy and all that, and then you'll be in counterbalance to the entropy of the universe. And so that's my grandpa's whole thing. Now, but so then I told my grandpa, I was like, this was like, I don't know, 2016. I told him, listen, if you guys wouldn't have hurt me, if you would have just helped me get back into basketball, because when I went to Kauai, instead of helping me with the quadrant model, they could have helped me with the quadrant model. I could have been doing big stuff. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. Like, I wasn't ready at that time. And I was a leftist communist at that time. So I didn't really, even though I discovered the theory of everything, the quadrant model, I was still a leftist communist. And I needed, to break free of that. But, but I was like, you could have helped me with the quadrant model. You could have helped me with basketball. If you helped me get into basketball, I could have been making rap music because I could always make rap music when I'm playing basketball. Now, so I was like, if you guys would have just helped me, instead of my grandpa's whole thing was, let's make Ryan independent, because he didn't believe the quadrant model. He thought by making me get a job or whatever, I'm going to or make me independent, it will help me to let go of the quadrant model, because then I will strengthen my ego and I'll let go of the quadrant model, because he didn't believe the quadrant model. He didn't understand it. He thought, he's like, my theory of everything is everything's energies. He didn't understand. He didn't know I discovered the theory of everything. He didn't know I discovered the ultimate theory. So his whole thing was like, yeah, let's make Ryan independent. So my mom and dad, who were already inclined toward that because of the shoot away, because of high school, because they already had an antagonism toward me, they're like, yeah, make him independent, get him out of our lives. It's sad. It's really crazy and sad what happened. But so my grandpa, he's trying to, but I tried to tell my grandpa, I was like, he was watching like a basketball game, and I was like, well, Grandpa, is basketball anti-entropic? And he's like, yeah, it could be if it's a creative project and stuff. I was like, well, if you guys would have just helped me get back into basketball, I could have been playing basketball, making rap music. I could have been a part of the anti-entropies. And I don't even necessarily believe his theory. I mean, like I said, I thought his theory was just white supremacy. Like, work hard, be a part of anti-entropy. That's Vishnu worship, essentially. And I always saw Vishnu worship as kind of white supremacist. Like, yeah, work hard, that's white supremacist. Yeah, keep the system going. I always thought that's white supremacist. I was a Marxist. So I was like, but regardless, Grandpa, if you would have helped me, I could have been playing basketball. I could have been doing rap music. I could have been doing all this stuff. And like I said, when I was playing basketball, when I'm nervous, I can always write raps. Now, something that kind of showed that was like in 2016, I went on a trip with my friend Francisco. He was a Hare Krishna, and I think, again, like, a part of the reason why I was kind of interested in Hare Krishna was because it was kind of anti-white. It was more brown, and it was kind of anti-white. But at the same time, religion is white supremacist. I always saw religion as white supremacist, and I still think, and I think I still saw Hinduism as white supremacy, because it maintains division and it maintains white supremacy, the Brahmin caste, which was the white race and everything. So I was kind of against it, but at the same time, I kind of liked it, because seeing myself as Jewish, I was anti-white, and I saw Hinduism as like kind of anti-white in that it wasn't Christianity, which I saw as the most white. So I wanted to be more into Hinduism and say, like, yeah, all religion is, really, I ultimately wanted to point out all religion was retarded, and let's just get rid of it so we could be communists, because I wanted to mix the races. But, so I was a leftist still. I was a leftist still at this time, and all that. But, so I would kind of vacillate, because like I said, I became a right-winger, and I became anti-race mixing, but then my grandpa confused me, because he's like, well, that's not the flow, because I was like, is that the flow? And he's like, well, that's not the flow, and it's just, But so I didn't understand it, though, because my grandpa didn't teach me what the flow was. He didn't teach me that the flow is transcendence of the ego, or he taught me that, but I was like, okay, transcendence of the ego, that's race mixing. But I didn't understand that being for race mixing is also can also be the ego. And it took a long time for me to figure that out, but my grandpa never explained things well. He just confused me. So, anyways, I think it was like 2016, I went on that trip with Francisco he went to Hare Krishna temples, and he was marrying this Hare Krishna girl, but he ended up not marrying her. But during that trip, I noticed I could write raps, and I wrote some good raps, and I posted them online. And I'm like, see, when I'm nervous, I can write raps. Because I realized when I was on that trip, I got nervous because I was so far away from home, and I was able to write raps. And I was showing people, and people were like, whoa, he can write raps. Like, he is pretty good, And I think that Even my family kind of saw it. So I tried to call my sister, and my sister answered, and I tried to talk to my sister and be like, this is the first time I talked to my sister in years. And I was like, Leah, and I tried to explain to her about what was going on with my mom and dad and me and everything, and about the shoe weight machine and everything, but my sister wouldn't listen. And she hung up on me, and then she never answered my phone again. She had me blocked. And I wanted to get in touch with my family. I hadn't talked to them really since high school. I hadn't really interacted with them really since high school. Now, a few times I did. Now this is interesting because one of my friends was like, well, maybe because you wanted to be away from your family. But like, he was like, well, when you did interact with them in college, the few times you did you fight? And that's the thing. When I interacted with them in a few times in college, I didn't fight with them. I was very good. We didn't get in any fights. The only time that we did was I visited my mom and dad a few times in college, and they came to visit me a few times. And each one of those times it was good. But the last time I showed them the Quadra model, and my mom was like, "Oh, you have schizophrenia. Oh, this is why your shot got messed up. Because it was because you started to become mentally ill." No, she wanted to believe that because she wanted to have a justification for the abuse that was done to me. And now I know it was because of the shoot away machine. Because later I would watch videos and I saw what happened. But but at this time, like in 2016, I was on that trip, and I showed that when I'm nervous, I could always write raps, and my mom had thrown away my raps. So I was basically saying, like, if my mom and dad would have just supported me, if they wouldn't have jumped on the conclusion that I was mentally ill and stuff, if they would have just supported me, listened to me, rather than being so crazy, and then my grandpa coming in like, yeah, make Ryan independent. This is what he really wants, and my mom be like, yeah, make him independent, and misunderstanding him. If I would have had a little bit of help, if I would have had a little bit of support, things could have been really good, maybe, But again, maybe not. Maybe I needed to go through everything I did so I can understand that my leftist, communist, anti-white ways that I had my whole life were not valid. Were not existentially valid, and were an expression of dualistic software, as my grandpa described. But anyways, during that trip, I showed that I could write raps, and so but again, like I kind of got in an argument with my grandpa because I got an argument about, because my grandpa's whole thing was like, I remember I was in the car ride and I was talking to my grandpa, and my grandpa's like, yeah, Warren Buffett doesn't pay for his children, he makes his children just work hard, work hard. And I was like, that's just white supremacy stuff, like, oh, work hard, it's just all about working hard, your parents shouldn't give you any help, you should just work hard and do it yourself and just work hard. And I'm like, that's just white supremacy. Ayn Rand, you're just a white supremacist. That's the way I saw it. But at the same time, I was like, and also, Grandpa, if you would have just supported me, if I had some support from my family, if you guys would have supported me, then maybe I would be working hard right now. You could have helped me get back into basketball. You could have helped me. You could have supported me. You could have given me some assistance, and I could be doing huge stuff with basketball, with rap, with everything, with the Quadra model. But you guys didn't support me. But my grandpa didn't believe the Quadra model. He didn't believe me about the shoot away machine at that time. And at that time, again, my shot was still messed up because, as I said, and I'm going to get more into details with this later, with the shoot away machine, it made me pick the ball off the rack. I picked the ball off the rack, and I would step like this, and it made my left foot point forward, and it made my right foot go in back of my left foot because the way I'm stepping, picking the ball off the rack. And then my dad tried to fix it and told me to do this, put my left foot forward, my right foot to the side. Whereas before, I would step with my left foot out and my right foot forward like this. And that's why I was sideways. My dad was like, well, be sideways. Pick the ball up and put your left foot forward and do this. But no, I was like this before, left foot out and right foot forward. But anyways, but at this time, I remember like 2017, 2018, I was still shooting like this. I was still, because that's the way my dad told me to shoot, and I hadn't figured it out. I hadn't really studied the videos in depth. Now, I fixed my shot a little bit, and I was moving into my shots better, more naturally, as opposed to picking the ball off the rack and going like this, because for a long time, I would catch it and go like this. I was moving, I'm not going to go into details because I want to make it sure think, but I was moving into shots more the way that I saw in the videos, but I was still shooting my left foot pointing forward and my right foot to the side like that. I was still shooting wrong. So my grandpa probably saw me shoot, and he probably realized, like, oh, your shot's so messed up, and you didn't realize how good of a shooter I was. He always lived in Kauai when I grew up, so he didn't know how good I was. So, he didn't believe me about the Quadra model. He didn't believe me about anything. So, and my grandpa was like, well, if you're in the flow, with the shoot away machine, it wouldn't have mattered, But he didn't know. So he was like, well, was the guy, Sean Marion, he has a funky shot, and he's still a good shooter. And I was like, Grandpa, you don't understand. Sean Marion actually moves into shots correctly. He had a broken arm, so he shoots a little funny. But his shot is still messed up. I mean, he still shoots correctly the way he moves in the shots. I'm not gonna go into details about how good shooters shoot, but I went into I explained some things, some very surface things, but he still shoots, he moves in the shots correctly the way that good shooters do, and the way I did when I was considered the best shooter in the country. So, but at that time, I was still shooting wrong in like 2017. I knew the shoe messed up my shot because I saw the videos and me picking the ball off the rack, and that's why my left foot went in front of my right, and why my left, so that's what I recognized. So I knew the shoot-away machine messed up my shot, but I still hadn't fixed my shot at that time, and I didn't even know that I could fix my shot. I thought that my shot had already been destroyed with muscle memory due to the shoot-away machine, and I can go into details about why that is, but I don't want to make it sure sink, so you have to just trust me. But at that time in like 2017, I knew the shoe messed up my shot because I saw the videos of me picking the ball off the rack, and that's why my left foot went in front of my right foot. But I hadn't fixed it yet, and I was still shooting actually the way my dad told me to do, with left foot forward and my right foot pointed to the side, because I thought that's what my dad taught me, and I thought the reason why my shot, so I didn't know how to fix my shot really. But I was moving into my shots more regular, but still at that time in like 2017, 2018, my shot was still messed up, and I hadn't fixed it. Now in 2019, I started to fix it, but still it took a long time for me to figure stuff out, and even up to this day, I'm still trying to figure stuff out because I know I need the video so I can study what I did, study how I moved in the shot, study all that stuff. That would help. The more videos I have when I was younger, when I was considered the best shooter in the country, the better. I have 2 cats in here, and this cat just scared me. But yeah, so so at that time in like 2017, 2018, and like I said, my grandpa stopped teaching me because we got in an argument, and then like I remember I was staying in San Diego, but then like I said, I was a leftist, so there was like this trans guy in San Diego, and I was nice to him, and I let him clean my apartment and stuff, and he tried to hit on me, and then I felt like he tried to steal some of my stuff, and he did steal some of my stuff, so I confronted him, and then I got in an argument with him, kind of a fight, and then I ended up just leaving San Diego, and I told my mom I want to move to Los Angeles where my grandma lived and stuff, and I wanted to be in Los Angeles, but my mom, so I was basically living in my car for a while, and then I ran into this dude named Rohan, who was this Indian guy, and he was kind of homeless, and I met him at a Kabbalah center, and then he basically started living with me a little bit, and he started to, and I was trying to get the Quadrant model stuff out. At that time, I was trying to get the Quadrant model stuff out, and he was kind of helping me a little bit, and, but at the time, my swag flow was completely off. Everything was off, and even at that time, like I said, my shot was still messed up, because I hadn't really understood how to fix it, and all this stuff. Now, if I would have had support, it might have been, really from the beginning, I wanted just support. I told my mom, I wanted my mom and dad to help me get basketball videos when I was younger. It would help me with the swag flow. I'm not going to go into details about that, but it would also help me fix my shot, And I wanted that when I graduated from college, but my mom, instead of helping me, they're just like, oh my God, you have schizophrenia, we're not going to help you, go live in Kauai. And, if they just would have helped me from the very beginning, all this crazy stuff would not have happened, So, but anyways, and I talked about all that crazy stuff that happened, how, I tried to put the Quadrant model stuff out, but then my mom had my password for Facebook, and she would delete, or she would hide all my stuff. And I told her that, I told them I wanted to get basketball videos, but she's like, oh my God, you're stuck in the past, that's why you have schizophrenia. Oh my God. I'm like, dude, if you guys would just listen to me, be a little supportive. But they had this hatred for me, and I said, because it stemmed from high school, from the abuse that happened. Because of the shoot-away machine, and it led to trauma, it led to terrible things, because at the time I needed help from my dad to fix it, but he didn't know it was a shoot-away machine. They thought there was something wrong with me, and it led to chaos, and it led toward abuse. And then the abuse continued, because then they're like, oh, they had a hatred for me. They thought there was something wrong with me. No, it was a shoot-away machine. If it wasn't for the shoot-away machine, none of that stuff would have happened. But, so then I was living, I moved from San Diego, and I moved back to Los Angeles, but at the time my swag flow was completely off. Everything was off, and I was going through a lot of stuff mentally, because like my family wouldn't talk to me, my mom and dad wouldn't talk to me. I hadn't seen them for years. My grandpa wasn't teaching me at the time. He wouldn't study with me because he's like, I don't want to study with you anymore, because I wouldn't agree with them. And he says, because you're software. But my grandpa, he confused me. Like I said, he would confuse me, and then he'd just leave me in the dirt and not teach me anymore, because he confused me. He's like, he's the one who was making me. I was like, so what do you want me to be? Am I a communist? Am I a right-winger? I don't understand what his teachings were, because his teachings seemed right-wing, but then they also seemed communist. He's like, transcend dualistic software, but he didn't teach me what it meant. And he's like, I don't, he'd be talking like, I don't believe in anything innate. Like he didn't believe in genetics and stuff. And I'm like, why? Because now I understand, because in 2020, I started reading Dr. Horr's books and I understood, oh, he's an existentialist and he believes about taking responsibility. But at that time, I didn't understand that. So I was just confused. I'm like, why do you not believe in genes and stuff? And I was just confused. But then later he would teach me, well, there might be genes, but you should still take responsibility for everything. I'm like, I don't know. I see what you're trying to say and what he's trying to get at. Transcend your software, and humans have the capacity to upgrade their software and stuff. I understand that. But at the time I was just confused. He just confused me. So everything was just off at that time. So, but I did discover the theory of everything. I discovered the quadrant model and I wanted help to get it out. But I'll continue in the next lecture.